Hey guys, Hacon here with the World of Warcraft gold making guide. Hope you guys are enjoying Dragonflight and making loads of gold. My goal for the first week was to do 10 million gold or better in sales, and I think we easily exceeded that. I'll be looting my sales later on stream, but as you'll see throughout this video, I have multiple tunes with millions of gold in sales from the past week. I've been streaming a lot of my gold making over on Twitch, but a lot of people have been asking for more guides here on YouTube. Today I'll be doing a weekly recap, similar to the one I did in Shadowlands, going over everything that I did to make gold in the first week of Dragonflight, as well as covering my plans for subsequent weeks. My hope is that this gives you some ideas on how you can make some gold as well in the next few weeks. First, let's cover launch and the few days leading up to it. I've looted my sales from the weekend prior already, but we saw a nice boost to Crafter's Mark gear sales as well as legendary base sales. I'm still relisting bases I have left over, and restocking the Crafter's Mark 4 gear as I'm still getting sales on these, even a week into the new expansion. A lot of people are coming back and gearing alts before they level to 70, so these are usually the best items that they can get at level 60. Consumables like gun shoes did really well at launch as well. You can see I sold a little bit over 370k worth of gun shoes. I think the average price is close to $250 each. These were all made with cheap laystone that I had picked up back in BFA, and I actually sold even more on another realm. Inscription has been very good despite the Darkmoon decks being lackluster this expansion. This is the market where I made the majority of my gold in the first weeks of Shadowlands and BFA, but it was glaringly apparent early on that this would be a rough market in Dragonflight. I covered this briefly in my Inscription guide that I released a few weeks before launch. I was skeptical that this would be the gold maker that it used to be, simply because it used Awakened Essences over inks. I've seen multiple posts now on Reddit and Discord of people sinking millions of gold into decks and taking a massive loss. I managed to avoid this by staying away from decks for the first few days. We actually crafted and opened our first packs on stream. I believe it was Wednesday or Thursday of last week. Despite waiting a few days to jump in, it was still a rocky and volatile market. However, we did manage to sell off the deck that we crafted on stream for 750 or 712.5 after the auction house cut, so that was a huge win. Since then, I've just been buying cheap aces off the auction house and simply using those to complete my decks. Around 2.3 million out of the 2.9 that I have in the mailbox right now came from deck sales. The remaining 600k came from selling off the rank 5 tools, as well as the staves and offhands that you can craft with Inscription. One fear I had with my time on beta was that we would be unable to make gold with alts like in past expansions without first getting them to max level. Thankfully, this is not the case, as you can unlock enough talent points, even on a level 60, from first time crafts and profession treasures. All of my alts generated at least a couple 100,000 gold in the first week, off of the simple recipes that are available from the trainer. I've logged into another scribe on a different realm to illustrate this point. You can see very similar items sold here in this mailbox, pretty much identical to the last one, except less volume and no Darkmoon decks. I didn't get the scribe set up until later in the week, but you can see a few nice sales on the mixing rod, which is the alchemy tool. I think my lowest sale on the good one was 15k, and you can see a sale as high as 29k here. For the tools, the stats that you roll can vary, and some are more sought after than the others, so make sure you price these accordingly. The hottest market right now, by far, is the Crimson Combatants gear, as it's the easiest and highest item level gear that you can purchase off the auction house. These actually feel like legendaries all over again. My monk is just selling the rings and necks, and over the past few days, I've had over 3 pages worth of sales, and most of that is from the Crimson gear, as you guys can see. We have 646k sales on page 1, but page 2 and page 3 are even more massive, easily 3 to 4 million in sales, as we sold rings and necks for 50k early on, and prices have slowly been coming down since then. I was lucky enough to snag both recipes on this realm, getting Amulet for 200k and Signet, which is the ring, for 40k. We made that back in probably half an hour, as our early sales were for around 50k each. At the moment, these have a crafting cost of around 1k gold, so they're insanely lucrative. Make sure to search the auction house for cheap recipes if you don't have them. You'll also need to have at least 120 skill to craft these at max rank, since the recipe difficulty on these are 120. It's an easy target to hit even on a level 60, and I am now selling both rings and necks on 5 different realms. The recipes themselves come from PvP boxes and are low drop rate. They did increase the rates a few days ago, so if you cannot find the recipes cheap on your realm, it may be worth trying your luck by doing some PvP content. The other Crimson gear is insanely hot right now too, but nothing like the rings and necks. I got my crafters on this ROM set up 2 nights ago, and these are the sales from yesterday and today so far. We've done a little bit over $1 million in sales, and I have around 350k invested into recipes, not including the amulet and signet on the jewel crafter. I'll likely be cancel scanning these like we did with legendaries for the foreseeable future. We have the new raid and Mythic Plus coming out on Tuesday, so the demand for these may slow down, but we should still be able to expect steady sales throughout the tier, as these are similar to the crafter's marks that we had last expansion. Next, let's talk about my plans for the upcoming week. The only professions I haven't touched and bothered to level up so far are alchemy and cooking. I've had a few people on Twitter and Discord ask me questions about alchemy, for which I didn't have an answer, so I'll be checking it out between now and the next reset. I'll likely do this on stream, as I don't think I'll have enough time to rush out a guide in the next 4 days. If you want to see my approach or have any gold making questions, feel free to stop by my Twitch. Cooking might be another interesting one when Raid and Mythic Plus comes out next week, so I may do a bit of gold making with that. However, I am still undecided since a lot of these crafts are region-wide and highly competitive. That's a quick video of my gold making for the past week. It's been another amazing launch, and I'll have an exact total of how much I've made later tonight after I open up my mailboxes on stream. I'll share the screenshots in my Discord and my socials like Twitter, if you guys are at all interested, and those should be up by the time that this video goes live. Anyways, thank you all for watching, and I would also like to thank Nish, Lachlan, and Mauro for your support over on Patreon. Hope you guys have a great weekend, and I'll catch you all in the next video. Late.